So, the Miami Heat were certainly very busy on day one of free agency. Made a ton of moves, mainly signing and trading Kyle Lowry, extending Jimmy Butler, paying Duncan Robinson, signing PJ Tucker, re signing Dwayne Dedman, and yeah, that's about it for the major moves. So, quite a bit to unpack here. Let's start with the Lowry sign and trade. It hasn't been officially reported what's going back to the Raptors by Woj Shams, but it's pretty consensus that it'll probably be Goran Dragic, Precious Achiuwa, and a second round pick, which isn't much to give up for the Miami Heat, though I think Precious is a decent young player. But yeah, Kyle Lowry signed for 3 years, $90 million, which is probably a bit of an overpay for him, but he was getting that somewhere in the open market, and I think paying him that much money is better than not having him. It gives the Miami Heat a big three of Lowry, Jimmy, Bam, which just seems very, very Miami Heat-ish with the Heat culture and just how tough those guys are going to be, especially defensively. If I think of what Lowry adds to the Heat, he certainly replaces Dragic as the point guard, because Dragic is probably going to the Raptors or maybe to some third team like the Mavericks. But yeah, I think Lowry can definitely provide 3-point shooting, which is something they need with Jimmy and Bam not really being 3-point shooters. He can provide good playmaking, a really good passer, will probably average like 6+ assists a game. Can also provide some off-ball stuff, mainly his spacing, maybe a little bit of movement, certainly a willing cutter, that sort of thing. But I think the main thing is probably the threes, because they don't have someone who can handle the ball and shoot threes as good as him, and I think it just adds another dimension to the Heat offense. Gives them more firepower. So I think I like it in that sense, that he can be the point guard and shoot, and then also be willing to play off ball when Jimmy and Bam are doing their thing. So I think it's a good fit, and it's a good fit in that sense. And then defensively, he's very, very tough, can guard opposing point guards or even up a position. He's so thick, and he can guard the post. He can take charges. He can probably switch a little bit. I mean, obviously, if he's on someone like Embiid, it could be a problem, but I think he can guard actually like most bigs, just what a solid post defender he is. So makes sense on that end of the floor. And then if the Heat are in a zone, he's a really, really smart player on both ends of the court. So that's always good to have. There are some worries about him aging. I mean, he is well into his 30s, and he is a player who has taken a lot of hits between the charges and just how he goes 100% every single game. So that is a bit worrying, but I think overall it's a decent signing. Obviously, you'd want to making a bit less than $30 million a year, but you have to pay him what you have to pay him. Next, if I talk about the Jimmy Butler extension, sort of similar to the Kyle Lowry signing. I mean, it's a lot of money for a guy who's in his 30s. A 4-year extension worth up to $181 million, but then again, it is Jimmy Butler, and he is sort of the face of the franchise now. And what else are they going to do? They don't have most of their picks, so they can't really tank or anything. And getting Lowry, clear sign that they're going and trying to win now, and extending Butler is just keeping that same mindset. And yeah, obviously he's been great for them, especially not last year, but the year before, took them to the finals. So yeah, well deserved for him. I mean, it is a lot of money, but he is Jimmy Butler, and they didn't really have many other options. So keep him happy, lock him up for more years, and yeah, okay move for them there. And then they also re-signed Duncan Robinson to a 5-year, $90 million deal, which it's very good to keep him. He provides them shooting off the ball, his movement, and his ability to come off screens was massive for them, and it's a key part of their offense, especially when they made it to the finals in the bubble. I mean, at his size, there's not many guys who can shoot as well as he can. He's one of the best shooters in the world, one of the best shooters of all time. That's not even an exaggeration. And yeah, I mean, it's really good that they're able to keep him, as well as sign Lowry. I think, he can be, if I think of a potential lineup, he can be the 2 guard with Lowry being the point guard and Jimmy Butler at the small forward. So I think it makes sense to keep him. They really need a shooting because, as I mentioned, Jimmy and Bam aren't really 3-point shooters. So to be able to keep him, and the contract, I mean, it's a lot of money, but then again, you see someone like Davis Bertans getting paid 4 years, $80 million. Joe Harris last year got paid. So shooters get paid in this league, and for them to be able to keep Duncan Robinson, I mean, it's better than letting him go, because let's say it was 5 years, $80 million. They're already way over the cap, so they're not going to be able to spend that $10 million they would save. So may as well just give it to Duncan Robinson. Basketball-wise, it doesn't really make a difference. Obviously, it makes a difference in the owner's pockets, but yeah. Then they also signed PJ Tucker to a 2-year, $15 million deal, with the second year being a player option. This move, I mean, it's clear that their identity is going to be defense between Lowry, Jimmy, Tucker, and Bam. Those are all good defenders. And then Robinson, he's not a great defender, but he has some size. So I think that's sort of the idea there. I think offensively, he'll just go stand in the corner, and we'll see how much teams want to guard him. They weren't really doing it on Milwaukee's path to the finals, but you never know. Get some warm weather. Maybe he starts shooting incredible again. And then defensively, just super, super tough. Fits into the Heat culture as does Lowry. Can switch probably. You don't really want him stuck out on the perimeter against smaller guards, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, I think he can switch on to most players. And yeah, just really rooting their identity in defense with another tough player. I'm maybe a little bit less of a fan of the signing just because he's very limited offensively, and I think maybe they could have spent that money better in other places, but I mean, it's not the worst signing, and it is another guy who can be solid for them defensively. And then finally, re-signing Dedmon. Yeah, good backup center. Every team needs one of those. So if I talk about maybe some even more moves, obviously DeRozan has been a rumor. I've just looked at it. There's just no way they can get it with the salary unless DeRozan wants to take like $4 million. So I doubt that'll happen unless there's some type of sign and trade. But then that is also really tough. Like, it would maybe be like Duncan Robinson, but they've already signed him, so it's just really tough to make a DeRozan trade work, even though, I think he would want to go and play in Miami with Lowry. So, it's not impossible, and the Heat, they know more about cap space and how to make it work than I do. So it's definitely not going to happen, but it's unlikely, in my opinion. But they do still have some trade chips, mainly Tyler Hero, who, maybe could be flipped. A guy I'm thinking of is maybe Colin Sexton, both on rookie deals. So maybe the Heat want to go more win now. That's obviously their intentions with Lowry and Jimmy, and those guys are aging. So the window is really like the next 2-3 years for them, and maybe even only the next year. So I think to try and win now is definitely something the Heat want to do. So I think maybe another trade, just trying to go all in as best they can. So we'll have to see what happens. But overall, Heat very, very busy today. Lots of moves. I would say it's a good day for them, especially because I think they needed some moves after the season they just had. So to get Lowry and to re-sign Duncan Robinson and extend Jimmy Butler, I think just solid day for them. They have a defensive identity, and We'll see how good they are. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.